while I was out and knocked out, all I had time to do was sleep during the day, so much sleep, and check Twitter. And many of you will note that this Christian lambaster site, Babylon Bee, we call it the Babylonian Tea, is in Talmud. It picked a fight with Catholic Candace Owens on Christmas Eve. I believe it was the 23rd. For no real good reason, just started calling her an anti-Semite. For no real reason, right? This is supposed to be, in name, this is a pro-Christian site, calling Candace Owens an anti-Semite on, the eve of Christmas Eve, which to me, that's weird. And so many folks have noted how weird their subject matter selector has been over the last couple of years since that thing changed management. Well, here's what they wrote on the 23rd. Candace Owens horrified to learn Christmas was started by the birth of a Jew. And it's supposed to be funny because Candace Owens, who's been a Christian for some time, evidently didn't know that Christmas was Jesus' birthday and that Jesus was a Jew. So why would you do this on the 23rd of December? Strikes one funny. And a lot of people came out of the woodwork to comment that Babylon Bee has been like this for quite some time. They never make fun of Judaism, but they make fun of Christianity and Christians lots. And of course, it's been purchased or run the last few years by a convert from Judaism. So it's funny, you never get these shots across the bow at Judaism. You only get them at Catholics, and specifically for an issue that would be a sensitive spot. Here's the tongue-in-cheek fake news. Media personality Candace Owens was shocked and appalled today after discovering that Christmas originated because of the birth of a Jew. "You've got to be kidding me," exclaimed a stunned Owens. "This whole thing, the lights, the carols, people worshiping, all this because of a Jew being born. Ugh, our entire national calendar revolves around this holiday, and no one talks about that it's all because of a Jew, and we're still pretending like they don't control everything." This is fake Candace Owens in the spoof news saying these things. She didn't really say this. The horrified Owens began tearing down all of her Christmas decorations and throwing them out to the curb, disgusted that she had been tricked by a plot. Lighting her nativity scene on fire, Owens resolved to expose the villainous Christmas plot to her listeners. "Real Christians do not celebrate Christmas," said Owens the next morning as she began taping. Remember, this is supposed to be funny.
I haven't laughed one time.
This isn't funny at all. The fact is, if you're celebrating Christmas, you've been duped. You're just a pawn, cheering the birth of just like they want you to do. And when I say they, I think you know who I mean. At publishing time, Owens had once again gasped in dismay after learning that Easter celebrated the coming back to life of a Jewish guy. So what I retweeted this under the heading of was a statement that you can never be politically correct or white knight for a politically correct lobby group and be funny. You can't do it. None of this is funny. It's clear they're white knighting for a certain group, and in order to white knight for this certain group, they have to attack this other group represented. Metonymy or synecdoche, I forget, represented by one person, one voice, in this case Candace Owens, who's representative of the class. And it's not funny. It's not funny when folks do that. It's not funny at all. Now, I retweeted, and this tweet went off the hinges. I said, never forget that they ran this. This was in August of this year. a very, very, very disrespectful one, Babylon B, Babylonian T, as I call them. You're going to be a perpetual what? Joseph asks Mary on wedding night. That was August the 17th. They ran that. And it's, again, not funny.
I like jokes. Where's the joke?
Where's the joke?
Like, I love jokes.
I mean, there's
I love to
nothing to laugh at there, unless you're laughing at Mary's perpetual virginity. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I do want to get back to the Owens thing. This is, poking fun at St. Joseph, the terror of demons, and Mary, queen of the saints. He's asking, are you going to be a perpetual what? This is from Nazareth. Recently unveiled manuscripts, which seem to be a commentary on the Gospel of Luke, revealed that Joseph the carpenter was in for a huge shock on the night of his wedding to a hometown girl named Mary. Now, I mean, I'm not going to read the rest of this filth, but even that first setup paragraph, what does that sound like? Tonally speaking, what does this remind you of? It's hometown girl Mary. This is the same way that the secular press, which is, run by certain people who are very, very, very sympathetic to jokes like this, it reads just like that at the Babylon B, Babylonian T. And so people really have turned on Babylon B, myself included, used to think they could be funny. When they come out with this Candace Owens one on Christmas Eve, or 4 months before that, you're going to be a perpetual what? There's nothing funny about that. Now, the Babylon B was, Seth Dillon's the guy that runs it. Let me show you. I invited one of these guys on the show. Who was it? I retweeted this recently. I'll walk you through it. There was a New York Times op-ed article on Christmas Eve run by a guy that sounds kind of like the Babylon Bee did the previous day. I'll read that to you in a second. But so Kyle Mann is one of the head joke writers at Babylon Bee. He said, when everyone went nuts on this, because they're like, why are you attacking Candace Owens, who is a Christian? Isn't this a Christian site? Shouldn't you be making fun of religions other than Christianity? He said, I think maybe you just didn't get the joke. Let me try to explain. It's that Candace Owens was horrified to learn that Christmas was started by the birth of a who. Hope this helps.
Again, where's the joke?
Where's the joke? Here's the thing. Kyle, man, I invited him on the show if he wanted to talk about it. Obviously, he didn't. Candace responds, everyone is starting to see the agenda behind your jokes. Hope this helps. And Tom Woods even was saying, so you've just restated the joke. Hey, Luigi online said, gonna keep asking until I get an answer. Why have you never made a joke at the expense of that group? So they have this irritating similar quality to the secular media, which is always favorable to that group, where they don't feel like they have to back down. They're the ones that are always like, oh, Candace Owens needs to back down. She can't have her trad Catholic views on, replacement theology. Those trad Catholics, they believe in a kind of replacement theology, which sets aside Judaism. That's in fact what Catholicism preaches and teaches. And Candace can't have the full-throated version of this view, but we can. We're the white knights. White knights always have that perspective. Like we're just going to repeat our joke, and you can get glad in the same pants you got mad in.
That used to work when jokes were actually offensive and funny. That whole shtick of like people getting upset at a joke that was actually funny, and then the comedian rightfully saying like, oh, it's a joke. Like, are you guys so lame? You can't take a joke. But what's annoying about the Babylon Bee is that they're trying that old shtick of like, this is a joke. What has America devolved to that we can't make jokes anymore? It's like, this wasn't even funny. Your whole purpose is to make me laugh, and it was stupid.
Right.
It wasn't even funny. Like, you failed.
Well, you can't have both roles of the school marm who's going, that wasn't funny, that was offensive, and funny guy in class clown. You can't have school marm and funny guy. And that's what they're doing. That's what anybody, when they white knight for that group, does. They're being school marm. That's what the purpose of the joke, the butt of the joke, the punchline was school marmish. It's, hey, Candace Owens is out of line. We really need to intervene. Candace Owens and those trad Catholics whom she's joined up with, they need to be taken down a peg or two. And we're going to do it with a joke. Well, but you're not the class clown anymore. And there were some like boomers online that don't understand what's happened with the Babylon Bee, who took it over and all that. They were like, well, I've always thought they're funny. And it's just like, okay, you don't understand. Things change, management changes. People now hate the Babylonian tea, the Babylonian Talmud, as I've christened it in my apartment, in my home, as Michael Scott says. And it's just something you can't do.
It's all about the shackles.
All about the Benjamins. But now look at this similar kind of tone to what we're used to from something like New York Times. On Christmas Eve, they run an article called A Conversation About the Virgin Birth That Maybe Wasn't. And it's run by this cat, Nicholas Christoph. This columnist.
Mystery there.
Yeah, no mystery there. Nicholas Christoph.
Right.
And he did an interview with the broad, what's her name? Elaine Pagels.
Okay.
Who is a I guess an evangelical who did the Gnostic Gospels and milked that teat all throughout the last 20 years, just taking the most fatuous lies out about the birth of Jesus and just making a payday over them. And hope, laugh all you can, Elaine. You're insulting the divine Son of God and the virginity of his mother Mary to make a buck. And I hope that works out for you. But she was employed on Christmas Eve of this year by Nicholas Christoph, who is not a Christian, you might be shocked to learn. With a name like that, more syllables in that name than a visual acuity test. He's got a lot of syllables in those names. You know what I mean? That's usually not a Christian. And again, taking it upon themselves to be the provocateur, not the school marm now, but the provocateur. And very quickly afterwards, everyone hated this article. I think Mark Thiessen is where I found it. I think I found Bug Hall retweeting Mark Thiessen, and I retweeted Bug Hall retweeting Mark Thiessen, and this is how Twitter works. And it's only a matter of time between when the Christian white knight groups play simultaneous schoolmarm and prankster before you start seeing a mimicking pattern by the non-Christians with lots and lots of syllables in the name, who say, who play simultaneously the jester and the victim, or the provocateur and the victim, crying out as they strike, as the saying goes. So it's a similar what's that word? It's a non-compatible couple to be two things at once. To be a provocateur who plays victim, as that group does, and to be a school marmish joker the way the white knighting Christians will. Neither of them works. The former gets away with it more than the latter. But I don't know. Aren't you guys just sick of this stuff? At Christmas, the wimpy Christians turn on harder-edged Christians, or whatever, more traditional Christians, and the non-Christians out there who run the Who York Slimes, they just attack Christianity. It's Christmas Eve. This is our year when the whole world is celebrating the virgin birth of Christ. We're going to get in our statement, our bitter, dissimulating ressentiment, to use the Nietzschean terms. And we're just used to being able to get away with it because we are this group in society that walks between the raindrops by always talking about how we're special victims class. They get away with everything. They published this on New York Times op-ed. And, there were responses like mine that were angry, but they certainly don't get the backlash, the marquee backlash that someone like Candace Owens does. I'm not saying she's a victim either. I'm just saying you have Christian groups attacking Candace Owens with what they think is like righteous anger, and they're like, we're just going to repeat the joke, like the Babylon Bee guy did. And it wasn't a good joke. It wasn't a funny joke.